Hey guys, Dr. D here for another music production lesson. Today we're going to be talking about automation inside Logic Pro. You can automate parameters of plugins and devices. You can automate any knob or lever or anything you can adjust within a DAW most of the time. I'm going to show you how to do it and how to manage that and edit those automation lanes and work with that, as well as how to map some of these effect parameters or whatnot to a MIDI controller. Okay, here we go. Boom. So I'm going to open up Logic Pro X here, and I have a really silly song that I put together as a demo. But what I'd like to do here is have the sounds sort of grow and shape into something that's bigger or louder or whatnot. And I can do that a couple different ways. I could automate volume, which is a parameter. I can also automate like some sort of EQ filter. So I'm going to do probably both. All right, so I've got this arpeggiator going on my one of my tracks here, and I'd like to have that grow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable automation, which I already had enabled, but the button up here at the top that looks like a line with two dots on it, this guy right there, that's going to show your automation lane over your track. So what you're going to want to do is in Logic you have to pick, in Logic you have to pick the automation parameter that you're wanting to use and automate. So you see right here where it says volume, that's kind of the default automation. And if I go down here, I have like display off, cycle through, smart controls, volume, main. Main has your volume, panning, muting a track, automating like a track that can be muted, and soloing it and all that kind of good stuff. So basically any device that's loaded in your signal chain, like I have the arpeggiator device as well as the retro synth going, producing the sound, that's the virtual instrument. I can go in here and basically like find any of the parameters and I can automate them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start with volume just to make it simple. I've got volume here. You can see this gray little line. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. When I click on that line, it turns yellow, which means the automation is now active, and it's at -2 decibels, which is just the volume of the fader at that moment. So I'm going to click again on that point, and you see what happens there. There is another dot, so that allows me to manipulate the line and add some automation. All right. So if I double click on any of these dots that I've created, I can kind of delete those or remove those. I can also select areas and delete points by hitting delete key. All right, so anyway, I have my little volume automation thing going, and you can hear my growing arpeggiator. Okay, so let's do another automation. So say I'm in my EQ on this track. Okay, I click on my EQ, and what I want to do is have this thing kind of start low frequency and grow. So I'm going to use a high pass filter, sorry, a low pass filter, my bad, which is one of these guys on the edge here. And what I want it to do, I want that to happen. So I've picked kind of a shape here and I've moved this back and forth. And if you're noticing on the screen, the frequency parameter on the EQ is actually what I'm tweaking to, and turning here to basically get that effect. And it starts, I maybe want it to start around like 120 hertz and then go up to full on open. So that's the parameter I want to mess with. It's the EQ, it's the frequency on the on my filter, my low pass filter. So let's see if we can find that in this list. So I'm over here on my automation tab where I can choose different automations. I'm going to go to the channel EQ, and what I'm looking for, I believe it's going to be called the high cut frequency. High cut, I'm cutting highs, that's what a low pass filter does. So I'm guessing that that's it, hopefully. And I go ahead and I click on my automation lane here and I start moving stuff around, and let's see what it does. Of course, I need to put it over the right part of the song. There we go. Okay, so let's say I messed up like I kind of did, and I really want that to happen on the back end of this loop I've created. So another thing I can do is I can select areas, and I can copy and paste my automation. So what I did there is I just used the cursor, just the mouse there, to select an area of the automation lane, and I copied it, Control on a PC or Command on a Mac, Control or Command C, put my cursor in this next half, and I paste it, and it puts that lane right there. And there's my opening, swelling, automated filter there. Okay, so you have to know the names. That's kind of the tricky thing about doing this in Logic. There is, you have to find the specific device and go and page through all the different parameters. So you're going to have to look at the device and be like, all right, what the heck is this thing called? I mean, I call it a low pass filter, but they're calling it a high cutoff. Anyway, so you figure that stuff out. All right, so say you want to, you can do this pretty much anywhere, on any effect, on any track, and the more of these that you end up with, you're going to have a list of used automations there. And you can always deactivate the automation lane by clicking on that little thing there, the little show and hide automation lanes. Another thing I want to do is show you how to map. So if you want to do this sort of live and burn this in and print it, you can do this by using kind of like MIDI mapping in Ableton, but we're going to use the, I believe it's called the modulator, or the let's see, it's called something. Let me find it. It's going to be a MIDI effect. So it's going to be found under your MIDI effects area on your channel strip right here. And they call it the modifier. It's the modifier. So the modifier allows me to map a certain device, like a fader or something on my controller. I can map that to a device parameter. So let's show you the easiest way to do this. So I have this open, and basically what I want to do is I'm going to click here on the input event, which is going to be like the knob that I assign. I'm going to click Learn MIDI, which is way easier than actually paging through the list of things. You know, which knob is this? What do they call that? Is that general purpose number 4? Who cares? Just click on Learn MIDI, and then you grab that knob and you turn it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's volume 7. That's what that fader is. All right, so what do I want that fader to control? Maybe I want it to control on my EQ. Say I want it to be this high pass filter, and I want it to do the frequency of that low cut filter. So what I'm going to do is go to reassign to, and I'm going to choose learn plugin parameter, and then I'm going to go down here and click on the frequency. Okay, and hopefully it says channel EQ low cut frequency. Boom. All right, so at this point that should be active, and when I hit play and turn my knob, you should see this filter. So basically I now have control over that filter with my fader on my controller. And from there you could kind of keep that playing and record those MIDI adjustments and parameter adjustments that you're doing. Okay, cool. So, all right, guys. Well, that's a quick tutorial on your automation, your use of automation, as well as mapping your controller faders or knobs to different parameters, and you can do that anywhere. So mix and match. I mean, just limitless possibilities for sound creation with this. So have fun, keep producing music, and like the channel, subscribe. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.